Hey there, everybody. So, on the north face of my house when I moved in, there was a decent amount of algae growth, pretty typical for the side of the house that doesn't get a whole lot of sunlight. So, I got the pressure washer out and got to work. This ended up producing some pretty satisfying footage, so I'll let you guys enjoy that, and then I'll come back at the end for some tips and lessons learned. Wow, look at those before and after pictures. This one really turned out great. Let's jump to some tips and lessons that I learned in this process so you can get the same results. The first tip is about using the correct pressure and correct nozzle. So if you use too much pressure, the wrong nozzle, or get too close to the siding, you can end up causing some pretty serious damage. Fortunately, the picture you see here isn't of my house, but it happens all too commonly for DIYers that don't do their research beforehand. The 5 standard pressure washing tips are black, white, green, yellow, and red in order from greatest angle to least angle. And basically, the lower the angle, the higher the pressure and the more concentrated the water. As you might have seen from this video, I used the black tip exclusively and was never too close to the house. Ultimately, the pressure isn't doing the work on this job. The brushing is what really does the work here, along with any chemicals that you might choose to use. The second tip is about the angle of the water jet. You want it to be perpendicular to the siding or at a downward angle. You don't want to be aiming upward and getting underneath the siding. You can lift the siding up off the wall or put water back behind the siding and cause water damage this way. The third tip is about being conscious of the amount of water you're using near the perimeter of your house. So if any water gets in your basement on a regular basis, dumping a bunch of water through power washing that can be upwards of 4 gallons per minute can result in some water in your basement. So don't focus on one area for too long, try and move around, and ultimately if you get water in your basement, give it a break and let the soils dry out a little bit. Piggybacking off of tip number 3, the next tip is about leaky windows. Just like your basement may get some water in it, your windows may as well, especially older wooden framed windows. So if you've noticed any water inside your window sills in the past, or have noticed some water damage around your windows, be careful in these areas with the pressure washer. Tip number 5 is to make sure you do a test spot first. If you have some older siding or wooden siding or anything you're concerned about, or if you're new to pressure washing in general, make sure you do a test spot on an area that's not easily seen and that you don't really care about if it gets slightly damaged. This is to make sure that if the material's not going to hold up or your technique's off, that you learn that quickly in an area that's not easily seen instead of a high visible area that you're going to notice for years to come. The last tip before I get into a couple lessons that I learned along the way is to be aware of the chemicals you're using. If you have grass or landscaping of any kind along the perimeter of your house, they can cause some serious damage or even kill the plants. So just be careful and read the labels to make sure they're plant friendly if you plan on using them in an area with plants. We're going to wrap up here with a couple things I learned along the way. So the first one is that the brush really did do most of the work. If you rely too heavily on the pressure washer, you can end up with streaks or cause damage to the siding. But the brush agitates things super well and results in that satisfying algae just melting away. The next one is to make sure to get behind your shutters. This is something I didn't think of originally, but once I got a little bit of water behind there, you saw the dirt just oozing out. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time on Noble Renovations.